So hello and welcome back to math class. You can see we're going to do lesson 15. Lesson 15, we're going to be working with some equivalent ratios again, and we're going to make a ratio table. Let's go ahead and look at the exploratory challenge problem. It says at the end of this morning's news segment, the local television station highlighted area pets that need to be adopted. The station posted a specific website on the screen for viewers to find more information on the pets shown and the adoption process. The station producer checked the website, let's highlight this, 2 hours after the end of the broadcast and saw that the website had 24 views. 1 hour after that, the website had 36 views. So, in 2 hours, we had 24 views, and 1 hour after that would be 3 hours, we had 36. Okay, so we're going to use this information, and we're going to come down here to exercise 1, and we have to create a table. Okay, so what I'd like for you to do is, you can see I drew a table, and we are going to need 2 columns, and I went ahead and made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows. So why don't you go ahead and pause your video so that you can make this table. That's what we need to do here on exercise 1. So when we created our table, we're going to need to label the tops of our table here. And if you notice, we're talking about the number of hours and then the number of people that have viewed. So we're going to put here hours and views. Well, let's see. We have 1 hour. Let's go ahead and count by ones, because our problem here says that using the relationship predict how many views the website will have 4, 5, and 6 hours. Okay, so go ahead and write that on your table. Now, the story already told us that the station producer checked the website in 2 hours after the end of the broadcast and saw that the website had 24 views. For 2 hours, there were 24 views. And 1 hour later, there were 36 views. Okay, well, let's see. What is our pattern? What are we going to put for these other spots? What am I multiplying here to go across? What am I multiplying here to go across? Some of you saw that we were multiplying by 12. 2 times 12 is 24. 3 times 12 is 26. We're counting by 12s. So 4 times 12 would be 48, and 5 times 12 would be 60, and 6 times 12 would be 72. Okay, so the constant is the number that we multiplied by every single time. And we found out that we multiplied by 12. Using an equation, represent the relationship between the number of views, V, the website received, and the number of hours, H, after this morning's news broadcast. Okay, so we would have to write an equation, and we know that an equation is something that has an equal sign and variables. Well, we've already been told we're going to use the V for views, and we're going to use the H for hours. So let's go up here and look, okay? And if I would cover up my views, what did I do to 1 to get 12? I took 1 times 12. What did I do to the 2 to get 24? I took the 2 times 24. What did I do to the 3 to get 36? I multiplied it times 36. So I'm taking anything in my hours column and I'm multiplying it times 12. So in order to get my views, I'm taking anything in the hours column and I'm multiplying it times 12. And some of us remember, in order to do the A plus answer, we would say V equals 12H, because that means multiply. All right, very good. Let's go ahead and turn over to the next page. All right, so exercise 3 says, use the table created in exercise 1 to identify sets of ordered pairs that can be graphed. Well, we're going to have to kind of flip back and forth, because what we're going to do is we're going to look at our table that we made, and we're going to make ordered pairs. So, for example, 1 and 12. So I'd come over here and I would write 1 and 12, and don't forget we're putting our commas. 2 and 24. And then we had 3 and 36. Okay, let's keep over here again. 4 and 48, 5 and 60, and 6 and 72. Okay, remember, it's very important when we write ordered pairs, we have a pair of numbers that are inside parentheses, and they're separated by a comma. All right, so we're going to take these ordered pairs and we're going to graph them on our coordinate plane. It says use the ordered pairs you created to depict the relationship between hours and number of views on a coordinate plane. Label your axes and create a title for the graph. Do the points you plotted lie on a line? If so, draw the line through the points. Okay, well, let's go ahead and do our labeling first. Let's go ahead and give it a title, and we're going to put our title is views per hour. And then we have to label our x-axis and our y-axis. Remember, our x-axis is usually dealt with time, and so we're going to go ahead and put down here a number of hours. And then the other thing we had in our table was number of views. Okay, so we'll get those all put on there. All right, so I went ahead and numbered my hours. And to kind of spread it out a little bit, I skipped lines. So if you notice, they gave us a 0 here on the x-axis. And I skipped a line. I went 1, skip line 2, skip line 3, skip line 4, skip line 5, and I kept going until all the way I got to 10. Okay, so go ahead and number our hours on your x-axis, please. All right, let's look at how I numbered my number of views. So I know that we were up here counting by 12s, 12, 24, 36, 48, 16, 72. And so I basically counted by 12s, but I wanted to separate them a little bit more, so I kind of skipped 2 lines. So this would kind of be considered 4, 8, and I labeled 12. And then I skipped 2 lines, 24, skipped 2 lines, 36, skipped 2 lines, 48, skipped 2 lines, 60, and skip 2 lines, 72. So the pattern that I was using was counting by 4s. So if I would have counted by 4s all the way up. I'm hoping that with us separating this a little bit, it might be easier for us to plot the points. All right, so it says to use the ordered pairs we created to depict the relationship between hours and number of views on a coordinate plane. So we've labeled our axes, we've created a title, and so now we're going to plot our points. So the first point we have is over 1 up 12. So we will go over 1 up 12, and we'll put a dot. The next one we had is over 2 up 24. Over 2 up 24. And then we had over 3 up 36. Over 3 up 36. Over 4 up 48. So we went over 4 up 48. Over 5 up 60. Over 5 up 60. Sometimes it's helpful to use both hands here. Over 6, so I'm going to stay on the 6. And we're going to go up to the 72. Okay, so I'll give you a minute to look to see if you were able to get your plots pointed. All right, so after looking at our coordinate plane here, do the points you plotted lie on a line? Well, they kind of have made a line, I would say. they have the constant pattern of going up by 12. Okay, let's go ahead and flip over to the next problem. Okay, exercise 5 says predict how many views the website will have after 12 hours. Use at least 2 representations. So we can either make a tape diagram, we can make a table, or we could make a double number line diagram. We're going to go ahead and actually make all of them today. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so for our tape diagram, remember tapes are our little boxes. So we know that in 1 hour, we'll make one box. There are, we've already realized there are 12 views. So we're going to make 12 boxes for views. Okay, so these would be considered our tapes. In 1 hour, 12 views. Now, where did I get that information from? Right here. In 1 hour, 12 views. We also had it over here. In 1 hour, 12 views. All right. So this would be considered our tape. Now, the problem is it says predict how many views the website will have after 12 hours. So that means we want to take this and we want it to be 12 hours. Well, if we put a 12 in this box, that means we have to put a 12 in all of these boxes. So in 12 hours, how many views would we have? Well, we're going to have to take here, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's 12 times 12. And some of you may know that 12 times 12 is 144. Okay, so there will be 144 views in 12 hours. Now, what if we wanted to make a double number line and a table? Well, let's do the double number line first. So that would be something like this. We have lines like this. Okay. So we have to make up to 12 because that's what our problem wants to know, because we're going to label this hours and this views. Okay. This would be our 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. We just enough room. We already know that in 1 hour, there are 12 views. In 2 hours, there's 24. In 3 hours, there's 36. So we're going to count by 12s all the way along the bottom. Those of you that are in the class, you can use your name tag. I think you have a multiplication chart. But we're going to keep counting by 12s. 48, 60, 72, 84, 96, 108, 120, 132, and 144. So once again, in 12 hours, we had 144 views. So we were able to find different information by representing different kinds of ways. We did a tape diagram here. We did a double line. Now if we would make a table. So we're going to make a table. I'm going to turn my book this way. And we're going to make a table. So remember, a table is something that's going to look like this. Okay, we're going to cut it here in half. Make our table. We're going to have our hours and our views. And we're going to have 1 hour, 2, 3, 4. Remember, we have to go all the way to 12. Okay, so big table. And once again, we're going to count by 12s. Boy, we're going to know our 12s by the end of this. In 1 hour, we had 12 views. 2 hours, 24. 3 hours, 36. Counting by 12s would be 48. 60. 72. 84. 96. 108. 120. 132. And 144. Okay, once again, in 12 hours, 144 views. So we were actually able to represent this in 3 different examples. We did tape diagrams, we did double line, and we did a table. All right, so let's look over here at exercise 6. Exercise 6 says, also on the news broadcast, a chef from a local Italian restaurant demonstrated how he makes his fresh pasta daily for his restaurant. The recipe for his pasta is below. So here's his recipe: eggs, salt, flour, water, and vegetable oil. Determine the ratio of tablespoons of water to eggs. Well, let's see. Here's water, and here's eggs. So water would be 2. And eggs would be 3. So our ratio is 2 to 3. So let's go ahead and fill in our table here. So every 2 tablespoons of water, we have 3 eggs. If we double that, 4 tablespoons, we have 6 eggs. 6 tablespoons, 9. So we're counting by 3s. So let's go ahead and finish our table. Okay. And in order for us to make this into an ordered pair, we're going to have to use these 2 numbers. So let's go ahead and list our ordered pair here like we would in parentheses with a comma. So this would be 6 and 9, 8 and 12, 10 and 15, and 12 and 18. All right, so we have our ordered pairs. So we're going to give our graph a title. Let's title it Pasta Recipe. Okay. And we have to label our x-axis and our y-axis. We're going to label our x-axis tablespoons of water. Not a lot of room for us to label, is there? So I'm going to probably, because my numbers are going to go there, so I'm going to have to put my label down underneath here. And so if this is my water, then this side over here is going to have to be my eggs. Okay, so now we're going to do our numbering for tablespoons of water. Here we have the numbers. I think I'm going to go ahead and actually count by ones. This will be a 1, but I'm going to skip 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 19, and 20. All right, so I actually counted by ones, but I didn't write all the numbers, so it wouldn't be so crowded. So it's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I'm actually counting by ones, but because I write so big, I skipped. So now we're going to do number of eggs on this side, and I'm going to probably do the same thing. All right, so I kind of did the same thing. I counted by ones, but I didn't write the odd numbers. So I have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And I could go ahead and finish up here. Okay, so go ahead and number the y-axis. And then, of course, once we have that finished, we will plot our points. First one says we're going 2 tablespoons of water and 3 eggs. So 2 tablespoons of water up to 3 would be halfway in between 4 and 5. Over 4 tablespoons of water up 6 eggs. Well, let's see, 6 would be right here. 6 tablespoons of water, up to 9 eggs. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to go up, and 9 would be between 8 and 10. 8 tablespoons of water, 12 eggs. So go here to my 8, and I have to go up to my 12. 10 tablespoons of water, 10, up to 15 eggs. So follow this. Here's 14, so 15 would be right there. 12 tablespoons of water, 18 eggs. So here's my 18 eggs. All right, so I finished my grid. What would you have to do to the graph in order to find how many eggs would be needed if the recipe was larger and called for 16 tablespoons of water? Well, we would have to basically extend our graph is what we'd have to do. Okay, so it says 16 tablespoons, so I would be here 16, and I would go up. But if you notice, I'd have to go somewhere up here. So I know that if I did this and continued 14 and 16, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, we're counting by threes over here. So we'd have to extend our graph, whether it would be on our table or whether it would be on our ordered pair, our coordinate grid here. Okay, how many eggs would be needed if the recipe called for 16 tablespoons of water? We found out 24 eggs. Now, if you remember, our original ratio is 2 to 3. 2 tablespoons of water, 3 eggs. On this side, it says determine how many tablespoons of water will be needed if the chef is making a large batch of pasta and the recipe increases to 36 eggs. Support your reasoning using at least one diagram you find applies best to the situation and explain why that tool is the best. Well, we can either make a table. Remember, a table looks like this. We can either make a double line. Remember, double line looks like this. And we count. Or we can do tapes. Remember, tapes are these little boxes. I think we should go ahead and make our tapes. And we know that water, we have water and we have eggs. And if we forgot, what was our ratio? Our ratio was 2 tablespoons of water to 3 eggs. So let's go ahead and put 2 tablespoons of water to 3 eggs. Okay, now our problem up here says we want this to be 36 eggs. So that means we want all of these to equal 36. So I have to take 36 and divide it into 3 boxes. 36 divided by 3. Most of us know it is the answer 12. So that means I put 12 in all of my boxes. Once I do that, now we can solve how much water did we need. We needed a total of 24 tablespoons. Okay. All right, so we're going to stop there for today, and you guys may work on your Google form.